granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
As Mark Twain said, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled, and none more so than the committed progressive, because for some reason a progressive has a lot of trouble absorbing new and radical information, or information that conflicts with their fixed ideas. To quote another wordsmith, in this case Douglas Murray, if you're talking to a doctor about an illness you have and the doctor tells you it's progressive, that's not good news. And in this case, I would suggest that the word progressive describes a philosophical disease that some people seem to have contracted, that's a sort of spiritual multiple sclerosis, which renders the victim less and less able to distinguish between objective facts and idealistic fantasy. So, as soon as I saw the little thumbnail, that side, isn't it? As soon as I saw the little thumbnail on my online copy of the Daily Telegraph, it was much smaller than this on the laptop I was looking at. But even before I clicked the link, I knew that the left-wing lawyer in question just had to be Jolyon Maugham, he of the foxclubbing and the ladies' nightgown or frilly dressing gown. If you don't know the story, you'll have to look it up. Anyway, Jolyon Maugham KC is sticking to his belief in Jason Arday with the same inseparable concentration as a cockroach sticking to a piece of glue paper. And with any luck, it may have the same effect, at least professionally. His excuse was that the basket of lies which Dr. Arday took to the market of ideas, well, that could have been caused by the neurodiversity of the aforementioned ex-professor. Now, I have some experience with neurodiversity, and, admittedly, my experience isn't incredibly wide, but in my limited way, I have observed that the big problem with neurodivergent people is their absolute brutal literalism. And in many cases, their completely machine-like honesty, to the extent that if you're coaching someone who is on the spectrum, well, depending on their cognitive ability, of course, but if you're coaching them on how to interact socially, you actually have to give lessons in lying, or at least in prevaricating in some way or avoiding something. And if Maugham KC had any sense or any reasonable knowledge of the world, he would know that. In fact, I find it hard to believe that he doesn't know that, which means that what he's doing here is that he's decided to be the defence counsel, putting forward before the court of public opinion an argument that he hopes will bamboozle the jury, well, long enough for his client to get off. Now, let's have a look at this. He runs an organisation called the Good Law Project. The Good Law Project had claimed in the letter that media organisations had made baseless and entirely false plagiarism allegations against Mr. Arday. I mean, really, the plagiarism is beyond question. On Saturday, Mr. Maugham defended the former academic again, despite his resignation, claiming that the former professor's alleged dishonesty could be attributed to neurodivergence. Well, I think we've dealt with that. He said, "I'm sure that many journalists and friends of mine are acting in good faith when describing him as a fantasist." And then there's this. Let's find it down here. Which is actually a priceless example of academia circling the wagons. Hang on, let's find it. Jesus College, where he was a fellow, that is Dr. Arday, and we still have to call the man doctor because Liverpool James Moore, the university, actually gave him the PhD. They gave him a PhD which was full of stolen concepts from another student, and they didn't seem to notice it. Anyway, Jesus College, where Dr. Arday was a fellow, also said it was investigating him. Now, look at this. They were investigating him, but dropped the whole business after Mr. Arday stepped down. Well, to my mind, that's like letting a burglar get away with the goods because he's left the premises. Anyway, back to Jolyon Maugham. Jason Arday fooled Maugham, and he fooled the whole academic community as well. Well, he didn't fool everyone, but those he didn't fool either kept quiet because they were afraid of their jobs, because they saw what happened to the people he didn't fool and who spoke up. They were crucified by the ones he did fool, because the ones he fooled didn't want to be exposed as fools. So they preferred to hang on to their foolery and let all those students go through the system. They let them pay their fees and waste precious years of their young lives studying for worthless degrees under the supervision of this cardboard cutout of a professor. Now, so that's what happened in Jesus College. And at this point, I have to say something. Well, it sort of hurts. Not too much, but it has to be said. We have to give James O'Brien credit. He sat in front of the microphone, a very similar one to this, on LBC, and admitted to his listeners that he'd been taken for a mug, his word, and that Jason Arday had pulled more wool over his eyes than a merino sheep, my words. Now, the fact is, James O'Brien admitted he'd been taken for a ride, and then he attempted to wriggle out of the embarrassment of his own stupidity by saying that he was subject to that because he was such a non-racist that he believed in Arday. That is, he wasn't going to be prejudiced against Dr. Arday's achievements by the colour of Arday's dark brown skin. He was saying that only a racist would be immediately suspicious of a man who says that he ran 6 marathons in 6 days, played professional football, won a pro snooker tournament, and appeared in a British TV documentary which was broadcast 20 years before Arday was born. No, the reason O'Brien was fooled was his own complete and trusting non-racism. You have to admit that's quite a feat of logical pretzeling. O'Brien said that he was a mug, but, well, what I'd say, more a Klein bottle. But let's press on. He did admit that he'd been fooled, which is more than has been admitted by Jolyon Maugham, KC. As the English proverb almost has it, there's no fool like a progressive fool. Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.